Going to attempt to commit to myself to begin making regular, more long form, informative YouTube videos, because I'm finding social media to be an increasingly AI place at the moment. Maybe I'm, or for the past however long it's been, maybe I'm only just now catching on that pretty much everything has been installed by bots, which is what I wanted to come on to talk about today, one of the things. But yeah, social media is feeling very AI, and there is too much that I want to say that could be condensed into Instagram captions or 3-minute reels. And so I know my YouTube videos have predominantly been rants. I'm going to try and make these more informative and potentially inspirational, fingers crossed. And yeah, let's see how I manage to keep this commitment. So I shared on my Instagram stories yesterday, and I shared on a Facebook post that I find it very ironic that in truther groups particularly, one of the first sort of conspiracies that people make themselves aware of is the MK Ultra programs, and they will go on and can you hear the rain? It's spectacular. Love living in the woods. I'm also really challenging myself, by the way, because I'm making these videos in public places, and that's a challenge that I've got to make myself more visible, not necessarily on the screen, but certainly in my real life. And this is my real life. You are just watching me on the screen, but this is my real life. And this is a true test of character to film something like this in a public place. Although it is raining, so I don't think I'll have too much of an audience. But truthers like to become aware of that, MK Ultra is going on, and then we'll spend 6 hours a day being programmed by the algorithm. So there was somebody who left a comment in a group that I'm in recently, and she was asking about the rise in mouth cancer cases. And when I challenged her, she admitted that she didn't actually know anybody in person that had mouth cancer. She just knew of TikTokers. Like, when you are taking anything on social media in this day and age, you don't know that if that is an AI clone, you do not know if that is a bot. I shared another post on my Facebook recently about, I was in an expat group in France, and I recognised a post that I'd seen on an expat group in Portugal, and it was how they had moved here, they'd made the leap, and then everything had gone terribly wrong, and they were having to sell all their furniture and go home and start again with zero money. And it was the same post that had been written by different bots. Okay, it's not even just government agendas anymore that are getting fed to you by these clones, by these AI accounts, by these bot accounts. It's anything that is there to distract you, to take you away from gaining traction on finding out who you actually are, and to only creating your reality with your inspirations and not from a program that is getting installed. And so if you're consuming on social media, if you are taking any form of information from the screen, and I'm including this, like I include my content when I say this, like, only take something that's true if you are divinely inspired to acknowledge it as true. Not just because someone said it who's got a blue tick, not just because someone said it who's got hundreds of thousands of followers and has taken ayahuasca, not just because someone's living off grid. There aren't checkpoints that make somebody a deliverer of truth. I pray before any time I do anything like this that my words are coming from inspiration, but of course I am absolutely still programmed to the nth degree. We all are. That's the journey, is becoming untangled from these egregores that you have voluntarily chosen to believe in. Cancer is such a perfect example of this. So my favourite teacher on natural law is Tom Barner. His container is The Humble Kingdom. I highly, highly, highly recommend anybody who's interested in natural law to go and check out Tom's work, to sign up to his mailing list, to watch his live streams, to get into his containers. But Tom teaches natural law that everything is an offer. And when we look at this through the lens of how people accept that they are terminally ill, so you choose to go along to the doctor for a diagnosis. That's the first part. Under natural law, nothing can ever be forced on you. But you choose to go along to the doctor to have tests run and to tell you what is wrong with you. When the doctor then comes back and says this is cancer and it can be deadly, it is only upon you accepting that offer that you become bound by that construct and that cancer then becomes a reality. That's what he means when he says that every single thing is an offer. And anything that you are being presented right now, that you are finding out about on social media, is an offer. Now, to lead this into, you know, a sensitive topic that nobody's talking about, so we all know how I love to go there. But there are 3 ways to tell if your energy is being loosed. So I've been coaching people now, I've been coaching men and women now with remarkable results for 6 years. And I can tell you unequivocally that all of people's issues boil down to these same exact 2 reasons. They are insisting that they are going to operate within the drama triangle. And number 2, they have very poor energetic hygiene, meaning that they are allowing their energy to be loosed and they are allowing programs to be installed. So right now in the UK, all over social media, all over the mainstream media, we are reading the story about a young boy who was, I need to watch my words because I don't want this to get taken down, but he was STABBED with a KNIFE, and it has turned into a, you know, the police were not sympathetic to the victim, but they were sympathetic to the perpetrator, to the man who has committed the crime and who has ultimately committed murder. And there is a huge emotional reaction to this story. Now, you can take yourself through these three questions of sort of to work out if your energy is being loosed. Number 1, you should not be having, it is very unnatural to have an emotional reaction to the death of somebody that you do not know and that you have never met. If you find yourself having an emotional reaction to that, you can assure that your energy is being loosed. Emotion is energy in motion. You should not be having an emotional reaction to the death of somebody that you do not know and have never met. Number 2, it is very unnatural, if not completely and utterly synthetic, for us to be traumatized by something that we have not directly experienced, that we have not directly witnessed. I think there's about to be a thunderstorm. That's not natural, that's not normal. We should only be able to be traumatized by things that we have actually witnessed in the physical reality, not on a screen, but we do get traumatized by the screen, hence the psychological manipulation of the algorithm, hence it being an MK Ultra operation. We should not be having an emotional reaction or getting traumatized to something that we did not witness in the first hand. You shouldn't be able, you're being emotionally triggered by a story. Again, your energy is being loosed. And then number 3, if you then find yourself writing and going on social media and talking about justice that needs to be served, and the only information you have about this scenario, about this alleged injustice, has been fed to you from the media, and I'm including alternative and social under that umbrella, then you're virtue signalling and you are firmly entrenched on the drama triangle. Like I said, all of people's issues that I have worked with boil down to these same 2 underlying problems. You are operating on the drama triangle and you have very poor energetic hygiene. So I've been inundated with messages over the past few months about the Children's Welfare Act that is being passed in the UK. Now, once upon a time, I would have been all over this. You can go back to my original 2020 car rants during COVID. The very reason I got me and my kids out of the country was because they had passed the COVID Act that said that they could quarantine your kids away from them. And I was convinced that the government had now the ability to be able to quarantine my children away from me. Now, understanding natural law, and I'm not saying I mastered it, but I'm saying I've got a basic grasp of it. I now know that was impossible. That nothing can ever be done against your will. But I was agreeing to the construct that they could remove my children by believing that offer. And so it's the same with the Children's Welfare Act. If you're in the UK, I can guarantee that you have not been inspired, i.e. you have not had an original thought from God about this Children's Welfare Act. I can guarantee it has been fed to you by one of those forms of media, be it a truther group that you're in on social media, a home educating group that you're in on social media, you've read something in the Daily Mail, but it has been fed to you. It is a fictional story with no substance that does not have to impact you until you accept the offer for it to impact you. Yeah, I really hope that's made sense to people. But the stories that you tell, are they your stories? That is where this ultimately comes down to. What is the authority that you are answering to? You should only be answering the authority of your divine creator. The level of faith that you've got in your creator is directly correlative to the level of faith that you have in yourself. Do you trust you and God enough to only get your information through your inspirations? That is what I have made the crux of my absolute work. That is what has changed my life. Beyond my wildest dreams throughout the last 6 years, I've now been work-schooling consistently as a single mother for the last 6 years since that first lockdown. I now have a multi-six-figure business. All of this has come from me taking no information from anywhere other than my inspirations. I cannot obviously categorically state that because I am a work in progress. Of course there are still constructs that I am bound by. Of course there are still programs that I have installed. But I have reached a place where I am able to take a breath and ask myself, is this something that has been, is this an inspiration? Or is this a program that's being installed? And they begin to feel very, very, very different in your body when you have started to come back into your body, apart instead of disconnecting from it with like all of our habits that include scrolling. So my latest offering that I have launched, which is called The Move, is going to be 5 live calls where we deeply, deeply explore what it is to author your story with nothing but your inspirations. This is where you will find true freedom. Okay, forget what the truther groups tell you, whereas freedom's found after your 9th ayahuasca ceremony, or freedom's only found when you're off grid. As somebody who has literally lived off grid for the last 4 years, I can tell you that that was just another construct I was binding myself by. Okay, freedom comes when you are living your life, co-authoring it, not with any programs, not with any other entity, but co-authoring with God, who's speaking to you through your inspirations. It was my inspirations that told me to leave the country in 2020. Yes, I was bound by a construct that was telling me that they had the ability to take my children, but the inspirations that were coming through for me when I made that commitment to leave the country could only have come from God. And it's like The Alchemist tells us, all right, that brilliant book, The Alchemist. But I went off seeking something, and when I found what I ultimately found was that it was only whatever in me, it's my inspirations that will give me the closest thing anybody has to a guarantee of safety is faith. Faith in their divine creator and faith in themselves. That's the only guarantee of safety that you've got. If you're binding yourself to a construct because you perceive safety in that construct, that's just another prison cell. Alright, it's my favourite film, The Truman Show tells us the majority of us would find freedom if we wanted to look hard enough. The majority of us prefer the cell. Freedom is when you are able to live your life through the inspirations that you are getting from God and God alone. And when you have the ability to be able to recognise what is a program and what is an inspiration, and when you're able to literally and delete that, that is where a leveling up comes from. That is where a quantum leap comes from. It's when you're able to delete that program and go back to just operating in the now to your anchored truth, which is coming from your inspirations. So So this is what my brand new container, the Move, is all about. I will drop the link underneath this video, and I will hopefully keep to my commitment of coming on to make these longer style videos that I feel are necessary to give more context in this age of bots and condensing everything into 3 minutes. Please, please, please message me if there is anything that you would like me to do a longer style video from. I love getting inspiration from other people. I love knowing that what it is that my voice can help break some of the spell casting that we are under, for mothers especially. So if you do have any questions that you would like me to answer in one of these longer style videos, please let me know either below or by dropping me a message on social media, and I will drop the link to my new offering, The Move. We start on the 15th of June. I will drop the link to that in my comments.